I am a Centurion, Jerusalem Legion. I'm a man of some authority. I've seen war. I've seen death. You'll have to forgive me because I've just come from something that is taxing me. I'm tired. And don't worry, this blood, it's not mine. I can't believe it's been just less than a week now that the Nazarene arrived here in the city. It was crowded. It's been crowded for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Even the governor, Pontius Pilate, came in from his cozy retreat on the coast, Caesarea, for the festivity. The King of Galilee even slithered down off his throne for the event. Streets were bustling. Religious pilgrims, merchants looking to make good, rebellious zealots looking to slip a knife between the ribs of their Roman oppressors. Needless to say, the city was combusted. That's when he came riding in. Hosannas, the people cried. Hosannas! The spirit was one of revolution, and the governor was on edge. I was sent out. I saw nothing in the crowd to suggest violence. That was until he reached the temple. He walked inside, and that's when it happened. I heard it before I saw it. There were coins flying through the air. There were pigeons in flight. There were sheep milling about, running for their lives. And I heard him say something like, "My house shall be a house of prayer," whatever that meant. My men looked at me intently, as if we should intervene, but I sat back and I watched those long-robed priests looking terrified. And part of me got a little joy out of that. This was a Jewish problem. They could handle it. They couldn't do anything about it. The people were with this mysterious Nazarene. They couldn't do anything to stop him for fear of what the crowd might do in reaction. It passed. And I have to admit that for a few days I forgot he was even in town. But then, early Friday morning, they came. Those same priests and their temple guards, and with them, already bound and bloodied, an illegal act, I might add, was this mysterious Nazarene named Jesus. They demanded to see the governor. I told them that the governor was not to be disturbed, but they would have none of it. They were about to make a scene, and rather than cause more reason for violence, I admitted them to his presence. Or rather, I admitted the governor to theirs, for they would not come into the house of a Roman and defile themselves. He heard their case against Jesus. Something about him calling himself King of the Jews, some nonsense like that. They threw around another word, Messiah. But what they seemed most angry about was the fact that some called him Son of God. Didn't mean anything to me at the time. But Pilate agreed to hear their case. And I'll never forget the words he said as they finished. "I have tried this man in your presence, and I find no fault in him." No fault? Pontius Pilate could find fault in anything. Helmets not shined enough. The Roman standards are crooked. Criminals not dealt with severely enough. But in this man, no fault. But my governor is above everything else a politician. So he suggested compromise, and that compromise is where I and my men came in. The compromise was one of scourging. Jesus was brought out to the courtyard and strapped to a stone pillar in the middle of the place. We brought out the reeds and beat his back mercilessly with it. That was to tenderize the flesh for what came next. Typical Roman scourging done with the cat of nine tails. It ripped into his back, shredding his flesh. That's where some of this blood came from, and I was just watching. I watched as my men worked diligently at this task the governor had given them, and I had never seen them inflict pain and suffering so gleefully, as if some dark spirit had come upon them. I finally stepped in. That's enough. But they weren't done with their fun. They'd gone to a thicket and pulled thorns from a bush and carved us some sort of crown out of it and shoved it into his forehead. I let them have their fun.